Hello, I'm Jane Considine, and thank you for being here. Thank you for finding me. And some of you are telling your friends. We're building in size, we're building in bants. Some of you are getting the hang of this, and who am I and what is this all about? Well, we're teachers, we're a little bit, we're rogue, we haven't got the same timetables and structures, we're kind of crumbling a little bit, and then we needed a place to go. And it just so happens this has become the place. The place, the space, doesn't really matter what you call it, but it's a little bit of, it's an island of sanity for us to talk about the things we really care about. And what do we care about? Well, I'll tell you what, the majority here are primary trained, but we'll take anyone actually. We have had a couple of lorry drivers car crash into this session who have just hung round and stayed. So it's all happened here, but what we're really talking about is teaching and learning. So if you care about teaching and learning like I care, then stay. Come as you are, which seems to be some have dressed up, some have dressed down, some are inebriated, some just have chocolate, but however you're here, some are here because they've lied to their family. I don't want to condone lying, but you know, however you can escape, this escape of the mind, get here please, and don't let us down. There are not many left. Now we're gathering tonight, we're on session 8 and we're talking about writing. And in particular, we're talking about a teacher's nightmare, which is how the hell do we even get independent writing that we don't have to hide in our car boot or put in the shredder and actually begin to showcase it in portfolios. So, you know, how do we do that? How do we help kids write to the best of their attainment? Well, they need a lot of help, but when we move into the independent phase, what we're going to do is really prop them up with strong structures so they can grow their imagination and thinking. This has been fondly, not by me, but by others, and I've embraced it, being tagged as the hashtag Teacher Squad, hashtag Teacher Goals. And to be honest, my little COVID crew who are gathering here, I feel like I'm getting to know you more and more each day. But before we go any further, we really do have to raise a glass and really, if that's a hot chocolate, a water, a wine, a lager, please raise a glass for Simone, and now let me say your surname, Goard, who has been married for 25 years and on this day should be in Iceland, but instead has chosen us, I don't know if her husband is happy about this, as her 25th anniversary celebration. I hope your husband is going to get something else, not just this, as part of his celebrations, but Simone, thank you. What I've decided, because I didn't really know where to send it, I've decided to send you a sweaty Read More Books jumper because you deserve it. You know, 25 years, that's yours. Get in touch with your address and I'll send it off to you. Now, there are other people I just want to, you know, give a special shout out for. E. Broadhurst on Twitter, who should be doing constructive writing of reports, has just decided to, you know, binge watch me. So highly grateful, and she's binge eating Easter eggs. I mean, there's binging all over the shop, but get in touch and I'll send you one of the books, the one you prefer, Right Stuff or Hooked on Books. Now, everything we talk about is locked in this book. So if you want the more serious, sober, detailed view of this way to teach writing, this is your go-to place. Now, What is the right stuff all about? Well, it's not a scheme. It's definitely not a scheme. What it is a structure that can prop us up when the pressure is on and we've got our busy lives, and we have to ensure that our teaching and learning is productive for writing. What it means, we are going to enable kids to follow very clear pathways for writing stories, very clear jigsaw shapes for writing non-fictions. And when we move with a pen in our hand to craft and construct sentences, kids are going to understand sentence writing through this organisational tool, as it were, of the writing rainbow. So they understand that we can teach them to write through the 9 ideas for writing. That's the fantastics. So they get more and more worked examples of sound sentences and inner thought sentences and feeling sentences. We can showcase very clearly grammar in context, and we can show them how to write adverbial phrases into sentences, how they can construct their own complex sentences, how we can show them, if they want to write a balanced argument sentence, we can do those typical text type sentences. This is how we are going to show them that explicit understanding through more and more worked examples, so that compartment is jam-packed, which gives them brighter, shinier understanding of how to be a damn good writer. And of course, down at the bottom here, which the national curriculum doesn't give us stuff about, but we do, because we look at all the research from the Education Endowment Foundation. Where is writing taught the best? It's taught the best where teachers are still embracing all the techniques and devices, and we're going to show them how to construct repetition for effect, the power of 3, simile, pun, and so on. So these compartments become more jam-packed with worked examples that kids can replicate and copy. And kids need to be taught things before they can manipulate them and fly off and be our greater depth writers. So we are the squad. We're here to improve writing squad, and I don't know if you can feel this from me. I really do care about writing. And in the 20 years that I've been working with schools to improve writing, I literally have to be told to take a deep breath sometimes, because I get so excited. It's called professional passion. You can quote that at any point if you're trying to persuade, heads for me to come into your school. That's me. Professional passion. Was that good, Ian? Did you like that?
I like that.
A bit cheesy, but full on cheese. We're cheesing it up tonight.
Can I just say?
If it's about cheese, I hope.
Well, it's about professional passion.
Yes.
Kelly Hall's had a great idea.
Did she?
Yeah. Well, she's ordering a writing rainbow. She's saying on here now. And she's going to put it in a window.
Yeah.
Like the rainbows in the window. I thought that was a great idea.
Oh, Kelly, so this is doing all things. This is showing that we appreciate the NHS. It is showing that we want to appreciate our world, and it's showing that we appreciate actually how we teach writing. If we can do that well, then there's going to be success. This is not about greater depth, actually. This is about a system for life, forever. You will go to you might leave teaching. Well, you will if you're on your 5th year, so statistics say. I don't know what you're doing here actually if you're on your 5th year, but if you've made it through the benchmark of your 5th year and you're going to stay with us, essentially you'll go to your grave with that, because suddenly everything will be able to get filed back. And with that in mind, on an adult level, and we're going to model this on an adult level, and already I'm hearing some gorgeous feedback from you guys, not just from the alcoholic people in the group who get a bit gushy. Thank you, Paul, for all your gyrating gifts. You know, I appreciate all of this, in fact, I even appreciate what my friend said about me. She said I'm like Mary Poppins. There were some other negative adjectives in there, but you can insert your own. Anyway, but I'm glad. I'm glad. You know, I will be your Mary Poppins. We are tonight going to make it easy to swallow. There will be some sugary moments of excitement that you can take into the classroom straight away. God, there is cheese and clicks aplenty tonight. I might even get out a party popper. I don't know, do we have a party popper, Ian? I mean, I do like the way I go blue tack. It'll arrive tomorrow. That's kind of Ian. He's always a little bit late, but he gets there in the end. Anyway, what I was saying was, yes, the writing, we are going to lead by example. You know, the best authors have jotters, have journals. We can now, when we read, we can begin to sift and sort and categorise. We can have a writing rainbow journal, and we can put the writing rainbow stickers in this journal and start saying, look, at the front of this journal, I've got damn good examples from story. Look at this really good positive embedded clause sentence from Cressida Cowell. Oh, Cressida, our current, you know. Oh, what was that, Cressida? You sent me my personal copy to Jane. Love, Cressida. You know, I think I've arrived. This is, you know, so notable. But we can take, you know, you're on page 4 of that book, and I've literally got about 27 examples covering the whole of the writing rainbow. So we can start sifting and sorting, because then this can be how we can start showing kids, look to the best writers. The best writers are doing it instinctively. I'm going to help you see it wide-eyed and wondrous. And we can begin to have our own writing jotters, sorted, categorised, with story at the front and non-fiction in the back. Okay, that's not even why we're here, folks. We are here. Do you know what? I got up this morning and I had a little cry at the washing bowl. I only do that about once a month, but I think what the trigger was today was I was actually dreading tonight. It's a hard subject, and we've got to toe a fine line. And of course, the DFE have sent us lots of guidance about independent writing, and we've got to remember a lot of that guidance in the moderation years is for year 2 and year 6. We can be a bit more careful what you say, Jane. Is this water or vodka? I will never say. Where was I? Oh yeah, we can be a bit bendy in other years, but broadly what I'm going to say before I start, this is a little caveat. Anything I talk about tonight and you say in your head, our local moderator says we have to, for goodness sake, if Amanda says you have to, do as you're bloody told. Okay, so listen through the common sense sieve of I've listened, and because I'm in a moderation year, I'm also thinking about that. So you, I'm afraid, are going to have to, you know, round pegs, square holes. That's not even the saying, but you work it out. Right, so here we go. Little bit tricky, but we're going to make a start. Mr. C, you might have to watch me tonight, because okay, I might fall into a deep trough of, oh, you're going on a bit there, love. Yeah. So we need an international symbol of sort of rein it in, babes. If I get a bit too, yeah, that symbol will do, mate. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Insert your own sort of graphic symbol there. So that's going to be the symbol of rein it in, you know what I mean? You're too much information, but I'm going to do my best. I'm going to give you just this. This is important, you see, because we want them to be comfortable, informative, relaxed. And I know the longer I talk, the more inebriated you get, and you start flirting with Ian on the chat, and then we get nowhere. And then the questions get silly. So I do know I have to hit you very early on with the hard messages. So I'm going to hit you, baby, one more time with some tough stuff, and then maybe we can ease off as the session unravels. Okay, here we go. We need to know where we are, don't we? In a unit of work, and what I'm going to attempt to do today is 3 things. I'm going to talk about independent story writing, I'm going to talk about independent non-fiction writing, and then I'm going to move into editing. Yeah, okay. So there's 3 big things to tune into and listen out for. Highly regret the flappy sleeves. Ian did say they'd get on my tits, and he was right. Okay, here we go then. Hopefully these don't interfere too much. Right, independent writing. This is where, right, week 1, your English lesson that's lasting for an hour. Week 1, week 2, week 3. And then here on the Friday of week 3, we are moving into what I'm calling a teaching sequence for independent writing. It is not, oh, put an hour on the clock, sit in silence, shut up, thank you. We've got to hand over to them mind frames, mental structures, visual structures that they can begin to really consider their own ideas. Now, what I'm going to say about kids' own ideas, we are so nervous about kids coming up with their own ideas and using their imagination. We try and over-contrive it and over-replicate it and say, oh, instead of a mouse, let's say if it was Gruffalo, do you know what I mean? Instead of a mouse, have a beaver, do you know what I mean? Instead of a Gruffalo, have a Muffalo. And what I'm trying to say is, what happens then is you can rock up to a moderation meeting with 30 Muffalo stories trying to claim it's independent writing. So what I'm saying instead is brave it. Brave it, and you know, like I know, when kids start coming up with their own ideas, will it have guns in? Yeah. Will it have blood in it? Yeah. Will there be slime? Yeah. Will there be fork knife? Yeah. And they're kind of little bit disappointing ideas. We've got to let them roll with that so that we can begin to look very closely at what is working, what isn't, what's successful. And we've got to let them make those mistakes. And we're going to hold them up with a really strong planning structure so that we're going to make the best of sometimes they're little bit shonky ideas. We're going to really help them though. Okay, we've got to help them in such a way that they are able to fly with what they want to write. Okay, so here we are, the first day of independent writing, and what you're going to do on that very first day is 2 things. I wonder where that idea came from me, that little visual. Anyway, just flapping this down so we can have a look at what I'm on about. Okay, so day 1, the very first day of independent writing, what you'll have done over time when it is in story is that you'll have plot points and you'll be teaching to highs and lows, and you'll be lacing the whole of that. Let's say it was Little Red Riding Hood. You've laced it with teaching them certain things like sound sentences, repetition sentences, sight sentences. You'll have taught lots of things in that Little Red Riding Hood unit, yeah? what you do on the first day of independent writing is, and it's really handy if you co-create this with kids. It doesn't have to be dictatorship. They can, what have we learned about recently? They can suggest them as well. And we are going to actually, from what we've just taught them, we're going to collect a set of success criteria. Now, the DFE said we're allowed to do that as long as we don't have worked examples. And you can see here, this is some of the things that I've already taught in that story unit. And what I like to do, I definitely don't have worked examples, but I do like to write sentence at the end of it, so kids know we're always thinking in chunks of sense. And the other thing I like to do, which has nothing to do with the DFE, I like to show kids these aren't all equal weight. And I want to show them, look, some of these things are trickier than others because I've taught you. And it's just that sort of, almost that coding of, if I say it's, it's kind of could be like a 1-pointer, because I think you'd find it quite easy, or a 2-pointer. I've taught you as a class, and then a 3-pointer I think that's quite challenging. So we almost go through it and we go, right, actually you were very good at sound sentences, so that's going to be a 1-pointer. Complex sentences are really tricky. We were actually doing a crested a cow sentence, and it was really long, really complex, and we were using it as a sentence scaffold. But if you did a crested a cow, wow, I'd be mind blown. Modal verb questions, that's a 1-pointer, you're good at that. Inner thought, we sometimes trip up with that. Simile, I thought you'd find it easy, but they're quite hard. That's a 3, that's a 2, and you're really good at sight sentences. And it's not that I am going to add these points up in their independent writing. I just want to show them that these aren't all equal weight. And that's really important for kids as they embark on building this piece of writing, actually like Lego. Now, on the business of Lego, that has become one of our ongoing analogies that we've used a lot in these sessions. This is where this sort of building and Lego analogy really comes to fruition. So, day 1, we co-create this set of success criteria, but also on day 1, let me just flip that up out the way for a moment. We give children and if it's story, we give them a blank planner, and I would urge that also this blank planner is gridded up by you as the teacher. I don't, like you put it under the photocopier or whatever. It's like a master blank, and you might have a master blank for a 4-plot pointer or a 5-plot pointer or a 6-plot pointer. So you've got a set of master blanks, and you've got an axis here that represents character highs, and an axis here that represents character lows. You've got plot point shapes. You probably need to make these squares. I always draw them as circles and deeply regret it. Probably, I've only had one regret in my life, and that's probably it. But I've started now and I can't seem to shake it. But yeah, plot points or chunks, and then footprints to represent that judgment. Do I want a step sentence here? We don't always, but do I want one? And what plot point shall I attach it to? So sometimes I have almost like ask yourself a question. Do you want a plot point link here as a step sentence? And where are you going to attach it if you write one? Paragraph 1 or paragraph 2? You're hearing that message loud and clear from me, aren't you? That a plot point makes a paragraph, and kids will be thinking like that in the planning process as well. So here, they now add in the detail of who is going to be in their story, and everything in writing for stories with young kids is about the central character, who is going to be their character, and What are going to be the plot points? Now, one of the things that is really worth considering, okay, when it comes to planning stories with kids, I want you to think about two very different ways into creating plot points, okay? So I've made a little note up here. I've now lost me peg. I hope I can find this little moment. Here it is. So the way one of thinking about building independent writing is we have as a class communally written up to plot point 5 of Little Red Riding Hood, or plot point 5 of A Monster Calls, or Letters from a Lighthouse, an event in there. And then now what I want you to do, kids, is plan a continuation of that very well-known story that we've been working on. But you plan, and it doesn't matter what it is, what you think is going to be plot 6, 7 and 8. So you almost get them to carry on with the story. Is this going to make really good writing? Yes, because they're already emotionally invested in it and they already know that character well, and they are now carrying on with a plot. We're not going to influence them whatsoever about what the next plot points could be. They really choose that of their own volition. Okay? The other way is, so that's the continue with a story way. The other way is getting them to replicate exactly what we've done. So if we've done something like a 7 plot point story linked to Gruffalo, let's say, we want them to also do a 7 plot point story. But rather than imitate it closely, what I want us to get better at, because I do want kids to have their own ideas, is say, well, look, when we teach them to build their own stories, we want them to think mostly about the central character. And what do we learn about the mouse in Gruffalo? Well, he's really brave and he doesn't care what people say about the Gruffalo. He's a really brave character. So what I want you to do for me is to write a really good story. By the end of it, I feel like that character is brave. And almost we want them to build character trait stories, because it will open up the options for them, and it will also mean, look, I need to just feel from this story that character is really brave. Once they have kind of got the big idea, the big central character sort of trait idea in there, like bravery, we are asking them now on this grid. So I want you to hold in your mind still, don't forget this. This is still day 1. So what the kids have got is a shared co-created success criteria, no worked examples, and a blank planner, something like this blank planner here. And they are now drawing or keywording their story. So if a kid says to you, Miss, can I write a story about a boy called Joshua? Yeah, Joshua, sounds good. Yeah. Can you tell me about this story? And he goes, yeah, Miss, it's going to start in New York. And I'm like, oh, this is good. And then, you know, the boy's walking through New York, and then he goes to Central Park, you know, and he really loves where he lives. Right, oh, I like this. I like the 2 settings. And then suddenly, across the park, arrives a giant marshmallow man. It's all your own idea, Joshua. He goes, yeah. I'm like, oh, sounds a bit like Ghostbusters. But carry on, mate. So, yeah, so Marshmallow Man starts being really destructive in the city, and everyone's really scared. Plot point, where are we? Plot point 6, don't worry, Joshua's got a gun. This is what the kids will do, won't it? And out of the gun comes lots of green slime, and Joshua wins by killing Marshmallow Man. Now, these sort of gun, slime, blood, guts and gore stories is what kids are interested in. And we've got to start there. But what we're going to do is, because they're able to place it in quite a tight structure, we're going to really help them be great writers of the choices they have made. So by the end of day one, from a kid's perspective, they have got the spine, the plot points, or the chunks of their story, and glinting on the horizon, they know the success criteria that they're going to include. And that success criteria is built from the lenses on the writing rainbow. Okay. Do you get day one? Mr. C, any questions?
Yeah, I've got a couple of good ones.
Go on then, hit me up. That's only day one.
Keely Reid.
Who?
Keely Reid.
Keely Reid.
Would you adapt how many plot points depending on their ability? So would you get them to say...
Yeah, absolutely. Their age, their attainment, all of that. You make that judgment. So you might be getting them to plan a 2 plot point story. You might be getting them to plan a 4 plot point story. You make that judgment according to the kids in your class. Yes, Keely. Okay. So, yeah.
Right. This is from Karen Partington.
Thank you, Karen.
And this question is, you're probably going to cover it in the editing part of this session, but how do you support children, other than strangling them, who plan in the present tense, then get into the middle of when they write, then get in a muddle when they write, so they change their tense?
Yeah, that's definitely something we are really going to try. And if you watch me in my other personality on Super Sentence Stacker lessons that I've uploaded, they're about 20 minutes for kids. You can go and find them. You'll see when I talk to kids about how they can hold the right tense moments. You know, are we writing a third person narrative, and how you attach verb work to that. And you'll see lots of practical examples of that in Super Sentence Stackers. So, you know, that is my full-on teacher personality. They're not as risque as these sort of adult modes, but go and have a look at those, because there's lots of practical hands-on stuff that happens there. Okay, right, no more questions, no. Okay, you can put a link on, Mr. C.
I did put a link onto that.
Good boy, 10 out of 10. He's doing ever so well at the moment, actually. Right, so what I'd like to talk about now is day 2. Day 2 is now where kids take success criteria, take their map, you can see plot point 1 here, plot point 2, and they now start, and this is really important to remember, how many plot points you ask them to plan is how many success criteria you give them, because it's got to match. Because now comes the building it like Lego, because they are going to assign within that plot point, within that paragraph, as many as it might be, it might only have 3 sentences, they are going to assign where they are going to put that plot point. They're going to look at their plot point and say, has it got negative or positive intent? And they're going to place their plot point on the side of the street they want to. So they might say, when I do Marshmallow Man, and he arrives, I am going to write a simile, and I'm going to compare him to something that isn't nice, because marshmallows are quite nice, but I'm going to compare him to something that is really horrible and destructive, and I'm going to write a negative simile about Marshmallow Man. So I'm going to write a -8 simile there. So if we bring back, I tell you what, I haven't been very good at, I'm doing a lot of whipping forwards and back tonight, aren't I? let me put me thing there for a moment, because I probably want to find this again. So a kid has got 7 plot points, 7 success criteria, and now they are choosing where they want to put it. So, for example, Joshua, in his story, he's saying, I'm going to make New York really where I'm going to focus on sound sentences, and I'm going to make the park bit where I focus on doing a complex sentence, and Mrs. C wants us, when we do that we're going to follow the Cressida cowl shape. We know about it, we've been taught it. So kids place, like they would building a piece of Lego, where they are going to showcase that success criteria, and they plan it across all of those plot points. Okay. That is day 2. Now, you know, some of you who teach older kids say, well, actually, we can do day 1 and day 2 in a lesson, but I wouldn't rush that, because a lot of kids are still trying to think about their plot, double checking, might make a few changes. So day 1, success criteria and your plot points. Day 2, placing the success, and kids, there's always a match. You'll have 4 success criteria and 4 plot points, or 5 plot points and 5 success criteria. That is day 2.
Quick question.
Yes.
Rebecca's asked, would you only have one fantastic or, you know, one of the criteria in any plot point? But I think you just answered that.
Yeah, the plot you have, even though kids can write more, they can, you know, this is like a mini paragraph or quite an extensive paragraph. You know, let's say they're year 6, you know, they might have, you know, quite a detailed, in-depth paragraph. They'll be doing other things as well, but we are getting them to get used to this idea that they have placed where they're going to showcase that success criteria. Okay, so it's that this sound-drenched sentence or sentences will be embedded in that first paragraph. Okay, I hope you're still with me. Hold this all in as a logical sequence. We are now moving to day 3. Now, basically, day 3 can still happen on a planner like this, where we can have address labels or flaps of paper or sentence strips. It can get quite hands-on and lift a flap and all of this. Or you can say, I want you now to move to a more traditional grid. I don't think it really matters how you do it, but it's that the kids really know, if you move to a different grid, that they know how they're talking to each other. But this is the sort of thing I mean. So once you've placed that, you know, you're going to do those success criteria at those plot points, on day 3, we are now, let me show you what I mean. Day 3, plot point 1, Joshua's story, he's in New York. He said, right, I'm going to write a positive sound sentence or sentences in this paragraph. This is the most important day for planning. I cannot stress that enough. Day 3 is where we really want to support them and take the pressure off. And how we support them is to give them time. We are going to give them time to get their sentence ready in the back of the net, already ready, that they are going to place within that paragraph. It might start the paragraph, it might be in the middle of the paragraph, it might end the paragraph, but they are going to plan that sentence. They're going to plan their sound sentence, their Cressida cowl complex sentence, their modal verb question. They are going to plan it in context for that plot point, so that when day 3 ends, they know that they have covered their success criteria. So by the time they start writing, they have already secured that in the back of the net. Now, let me give you an example. So, for example here, there's a deluge of blue tack here, do you know? And Simone, all I'm going to say to you, you know, we're all on 25 years around here. I don't want to kind of belittle your 25 years, but, you know, I hope your husband, when you say blue tack, just makes it magically arrive. Okay, so here we are, New York, and this is, I mean, if we weren't here, I could show you loads of kids' examples. So you're gonna, you know, you'll have to bear with me, but it isn't Joshua's writing. This is just an example. You get that, don't you? You're not going to judge me. I could show you loads of kids' examples of their planning, and I'm hoping people who have been Right Stuff schools for years can start showing jotters, thinking, planners. You know, that's a great thing to share on Twitter and Facebook. But here, in fact, this isn't just one sentence. It's two sentences drenched in sounds, but Joshua knows, well, he's his central character as well, he knows that he has done that job. Joshua loved where he lived, New York. The wondrous stalagmitic skyline was always bright and noisy. The constant murmur, hollow and deep, of the traffic. The hint of a train, punctuated by sudden sirens, and the distant metallic echo of an aeroplane. So we've got all the murmurs, all the sirens, all the echoes, all the noisiness of New York. Boom. Amazing. The other thing he's going to plan for here, I've given it, he said he's going to write now the other part of the New York environment. His character walks onto Central Park. I'm going to challenge the kids to give me a Cressida cow. This is lifted from her current book, The Wizards of Once. The hall was jam-packed with wizards of all ages and sizes. Happy, sleepy giants dancing or snoozing ponderously on the edges of the room, and howling wolves, lumbering bears, snow cats watching carefully in the shadows from the branches above, their tails swinging. So, I love Cressida's writing. She really is the master of rhythm and long and short and rambling and tangling. Brilliant. So I've challenged the kids. Can they serve me up a Cressida cow? And this is Joshua's. This is the using a sentence scaffold. Central Park was heaving with nature. Hypnotic, beguiling butterflies resting or pirouetting elegantly on the foliage near the path, and humming bees and busy dragonflies and dogs sniffing inquisitively in the thick grass, their tails wagging. You know, different content, exactly the same structure. When I talk about sentence scaffolds, there are two ways we can use sentences. We can use them for structure like that, or we can use them because of content. We want those words and we're nicking them. Yeah, okay. So this is Joshua. He will work through his plot point, his success criteria, and he'll get ready. And day 3 is a big get. It's not writing the story, but it is working to the most important thing for working memory, chunks of sense. He's going to get those chunks of sense ready. Boom. Day 3, really important. Day 4, the reason why you have a day 4 is kids might need a bit longer with that. So day 4 is a bit of finishing off of that. But the other thing, let me just move these along so you can sort of see how this is building. Day 4, so we know that's going to be our sentence that's going to make sound. Here it is. And we know this is the sentence that's going to be a Cressida cow. What I would do also on day... What?
You're freezing.
Oh, I'm freezing. Is it because I've tipped this off? Have I knocked my mic? Is it me? You might need to give a warning to Oscar.
No, it's fine. Somebody said Oscar.
Am I back in the room?
Go back 10 seconds.
I'll go back 10 seconds. So, I hope I'm moving. I hope I've not frozen. Thank you, actually, to the person who has compiled my best bits. That really did make me laugh today. It seems my best bits are a little bit naughty. There you go. Anyway, where was I? Yeah, day 4. Day 4 now, kids are getting really comfortable with their plot points and they have got sentences for success criteria. We knew that. They're finishing those off. And then we need this other column where there's not a missed opportunity for them to stick to vocabulary, collect, gather and go, oh, in that plot point, I might want hot, I might want hazy, I might want exhilarating to describe New York. Or when I'm in the park, I might want tranquil, I might want sunlight, I might want spacious. Other little language bits and bobs. This is like being a word collector, collecting them there in readiness to be a writer. This is what our best writers do. Jotting, thinking, jotting, scribbling. And this is what we're encouraging. We want them to move like a writer, think like a writer, gather like a writer. Cool. So exciting. That is day 4. Day 5, we basically then, so that might be Friday, we then chunk their time up into plot points. So rather than going, you've got an hour to write, we make a judgment according to their attainment, how old they are, we hold them in plot point moments. So we might say, look, there's 10 minutes on the clock to write plot point 1. And we want, you know, or longer. You might say, I've got really buzzy year 6 kids who love to write. So we've got 15 minutes to write plot point 1. And then I'm going to hold them in moments so kids are able to pace themselves. Change that time according to their age, but it is this sense, if you hold them in plot point moments of time, you can't say plot point 2 means paragraph 2, but they will be trained in that way. They always know a plot point makes a paragraph. So organising their time in that way means they will produce for you a 7-paragraph story. If they're year 6 and they write more than 12 sentences, they know the rules. They can write more paragraphs if they want to. They just make that writerly decision and break them up. So what that means is on Friday, they've got their writing finish. Unfortunately, you probably do need to take it home at the weekend. And if your partner says you take too much work home at the weekend, you know, if you're Simone, the sort of thing you're going to say to your hubby after 25 years is kind of, shut up, thank you, why don't you join in? And give 25 pieces to them, I suggest. And really, never look at their work unless you're inebriated. Yeah, I mean, it just softens the blow a little bit. When you are looking at their work, I'm now going to ask you to give kids editing challenges. And what that means is you are going to give the work back to them, and kids are going to have challenges that they're going to have to do. And you make a judgment as their teacher, and I'm going to explain what these challenges are. So you might say, Oscar, they're your challenges. Bartek, they're your challenges, and Maisie, there are your challenges. So when they get their work back, they're going to be asked to interrogate their work in 3 distinct ways. And that is what I'm going to talk about now. I am now talking about the 3 ways of editing. Okay, the 3 ways of editing. This is really crucial. Okay, 3 ways of editing. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten about nonfiction. I'm going to talk about that as well. Bear with me. Oh, too much people. Right, the 3 ways of editing. The 3 ways of editing is E1, the revise edit. The revise edit is actually the home to spelling, punctuation, missed an additional word. You know, when kids write the twice, or they meant to write until, but they forgot to write it in. And all of those missed and additional words, and those other things, you know, you were talking about earlier when they do tense slippage, where we want them to have a little look at their grammar choices. So these tend to be kind of little slips, actually. I'm not saying they're easy, but this is where we're tasking them to do some revisions, the revise edit. The other type of edit is the rewrite edit. Now, the rewrite edit is where we're tasking them to rewrite a sentence. And what we need to do as a teacher is start at the beginning of the sentence and start at the end, and that is it. And that coding means you need to rewrite that sentence. I can't tell you what to rewrite it for, but I am tasking you to do a rewrite of that sentence. For primary age kids, we never ask them to do a rewrite longer than a sentence. We might give them a couple of rewrites, or depending on their attainment, maybe, you know, we make that judgment. And then the third way of editing is what I'm calling the reimagine edit. And the reimagine edit is where, as a teacher, you put in a triangle after a full stop and you train them what that triangle means. Now, that triangle doesn't mean insert one word. It actually means I've read this bit about the cave, and this arrow means add more. It's almost saying to kids, I love that bit about the cave, tell me more. Now, the add more is always to the rules of sentences. You can add another sentence or as many as you like, quite frankly, doesn't really matter. But when you add, you must add sentences. So this then means when they get their work back, it will look like this. Erica, I am tasking you to go and find 12 E1s. Now, that is not me as a teacher saying there are definitely 12 problems. But there could be 12 problems. I don't want this to be overly onerous. I know Erica has probably made quite a few mistakes in her writing. There might be, let's say, 27, but I also know if she slows down, she's really good at sorting it out, and she's just rushed a little bit there. I want her to go and find, and these 12 E1s I'm asking her to find, they could be spelling, they could be punctuation problems, they could be missed or additional words or something to do with grammar. I'm tasking her to find 12. And what that will mean is that she can actually go and tick off when she has found 12. She might not find the 12 I want her to, but I know she's well able for it. I'm then asking her to give me 3 rewrites, and she'll know where her rewrites are because they're starred in her work, and then she will write her rewrites at the bottom of her work. And E3, she will find one place where I have put an add more arrow, and I've put it after her sentence about the sunset because I loved it and I want her to add more about the sunset. Tom might not have made 8 spelling punctuation. He might have made quite a lot. He might have made 30. But I always make a judgment according to their self-esteem and their attainment, what their tasks are. So an editing session works like this. Let's say this is day 6 and it's Monday of the 2nd week, for example. They come back and they've all got their work, but they watch Mrs. C, or you, not I can't be everywhere, modelling how to edit. Yeah? Modelling how to edit E1. So, oh look, Jane's made 9 mistakes. Well, I'll probably make more. You know how shocking I am at spelling. I'm better when I'm sober, but you know, we get a bit of heirloom when I've had a drink. But we're going to pretend that never happened. E2 and E3. So I'm going to model how to edit. Then, if any of you have found Emma Stanley on Twitter, she has come on training. She's under my lovely warm wing of CPD, and she has taken on this gorgeous idea of editing stations, and she's actually turned them into underground stations. So you can go to Spelling Square, you know, and it looks like the London Underground, and you can sort out your spelling. Now, what I want you to do in this process is organise kids into mixed attaining groups, make one of them the editing lead. So Ella's in charge here, Oscar's in charge here, Baljit's in charge here, this sort of thing. And you're going to give them, depending on their age and what they can cope with, 10 minutes. They can't ask Miss, but they can ask each other. 10 minutes on the spelling table, 10 minutes at the punctuation. So it's almost like they work around. So this is an E1 table, this is an E1 table, this is an E1 table. Spelling, punctuation and grammar. And I'm going to explain the sort of things that might happen. On the spelling table, they have got dictionaries. On the spelling table, they have, oh, let me just whip him out the way for a minute. Could I have rattled that paper anymore? Mr. C says, whatever you do, don't rattle paper. You know what I mean? What you're supposed to do when you move it. Anyway, right, oh, unrattled. On the spelling table, let's say this is an editing session for year 3. What they're going to have on the spelling table are the vocabulary vests from foundation stage, the vocabulary vests from year 1, the vocabulary vests from year 2. This is the writing laundry, and it goes like this. If you make a spelling mistake and you are in, and this is a year 3 classroom, I don't give a toss if you spell marvellous wrong, because it's not an important word until you get to year 5 and 6. However, if you're in year 3 and you spell you're wrong, I am afraid, and it kind of goes like this. You know, I talked earlier in this series about protecting points. What we want kids to do as they edit is try and hold on to as many spelling points as they can. They're trying to preserve their points. So now I want them particularly to look, have they spelt friend correctly? Because if they haven't and they're in year 3 and they've spelt friend wrong, they're going to lose 3 points. And if they're in year 3 and they've spelt because wrong, that old chestnut, sorry year 3s, because is a really important word in year 2. So if you spelt because wrong in year 3, you're going to lose 2 of your 30 points. And if you put Ella there, the editing lead, and we all know how bossy she is, she will do your hard work for you. She will sort people out and tell them what they've got. But it's their chance now to build it up before they hand it in. When they come on the punctuation table, the same goes. They are trying to preserve their punctuation points. Insert, and they'll know their own washing line of punctuation pants. And so I'm ever so sorry, but if you are in year 3 and you have dropped a full stop, that is a year 1 thing that you're supposed to be really good at. So if you've, I can't help rattling paper. It's a little gift I've got. But if you're in year 1 and you've dropped, you know, a full stop, you're going to lose 3 points. If you dropped a capital letter, you'll lose 3 points. And in fact, it's a hard world because you're in year 3 and you have to do inverted commas. Well, actually, even if you get those wrong, they are a requirement for year 3. So even if you get your speech marks wrong, you would lose a point. So, but this is their chance to, all right, I'll get the message. I didn't, it's getting on my nerves, to be honest, anyway. So, how many points have you lost? Blah, blah, blah. When they get to the, Grammar Grove section, that was the lovely idea from Emma Stanley. You can download that resource. You can be part of the 10,000 crew who've already done that. What I say on that table is, that is the earmuff table. Just sit there, put on your earmuffs. There are 6 earmuffs. Wear them, and for goodness sake, read back your work. There are kids who are handing in writing and they haven't even read it back. So put your earmuffs on, listen to your internal writerly voice and read your work back, because there'll be loads of little silly things like tense, like missed words that you can sort there. Come round here, that is where you're going to do your rewrites that I've tasked you to do, and you're going to number them and write them at the end of your work. And when I want you to add more, if you've been tasked with 2 add more arrows, then you are allowed to pick up flaps of paper. Because why kids don't want to add more is there's no space. So if they've been tasked to add 2, in 2 parts, then they can pick up a flap of paper and they can stick it in their book. And I know there's a Pritt stick crisis, so they can lick it in their book for all I care. And this is a kid saying, this is my first add more number 1, and they're going to say more about the sunset. And then this is their add more number 2, and they're going to say more about Marshmallow Man. And and once the editing is finished, which might go over 1 lesson or 2, you decide as a teacher. Once it is done, you collect it in. You put half an hour on the clock. You take all the principles of Daisy Karaluju and comparative judgment and her MBE, and you lay it on the floor and you put it in rank order. You know what I mean? Crappos, mid-rangers, good ones. And these kids here, these are working towards expectations for year 3. These are expected, and these are greater depth. We have that rank judgment of where the pitch is, really important. And keep very good records of the rank order for your class, and if you are to form entry, even more powerful information of where they rank. But the rank order for your class for story and non-fiction. You've got some schools out there have got 4 form entry. We can get some really, when you work in clusters, work in that way as well. Okay, what I want to do just before I go is talk about non-fiction. Have I paused again? Yeah, back in the game. Non-fiction before I leave. I'm just going to say this about non-fiction. So, feel a pattern emerging now. I have no new messages, but I'm going to give you a flying journey through non-fiction so you can feel it in exactly the same way. It has the same shape, it has the same pattern, and it goes like this. Day 1 of non-fiction. We have held their writing hand and we've built together our version and their version under our guidance. We'll talk in detail tomorrow about the lesson. I've now got too much blue tack, I can't use it. Oh, we're starting later tomorrow. What time are we starting, Mr. C?
8:05 p.m.
Oh, damn it. That always means PJs and wine. Exciting. And I hope it means you'll be PJs and whining too. So, day 1, they will see success criteria. It is what I've taught them in our postcard unit, but we co-create it. I've taught them more than that as well. No worked examples. I then, also on day 1, they have a blank planner that they populate with their ideas. So they say, right, we wrote a postcard communally after we went on our trip to Birmingham, but this child has decided to write a postcard on their trip to Hull. So they are now telling me what content is going to be in their jigsaw shapes. So instead of a character, we're going to push the reader through these jigsaw shapes that mean things, and it goes like this. We know that this shape means the best bit, and they are saying the best bit was when they went to the bowling alley. What they did yesterday was they went to a stream and fed the ducks, but actually it was a little bit boring and all the ducks started swimming away. But tomorrow, this is the arrow of tomorrow, they're looking forward to going to the theatre and they're really excited because they're going to see Oliver Twist. Then we're going to fly a flag for a fun fact, and Hull is the place that invented boiled sweets. Go Hull, and actually a range of other really exciting medical things like Lensip, Bonjela and Gaviscon. So if you suffer with mouth ulcers or a little bit of GERD or acid reflux, thank God Hull has been there for us. So that's a fun fact about Hull. Let's ask the reader a question. How's the plants? And we're going to close it off, the closing door, wish you were here. So this is a kid saying, I listened along to the Birmingham postcard. This is my idea for the whole postcard, but that's only the start of it. Just like story, for Hull, we are going to come in now and place success criteria. So we are now going to look at our success criteria on day 2 and say, right, the best bit. The teacher has asked me, oh dear. The teacher has asked me to include from the Writing Rainbow a sentence that focuses on sights. That's what I'm going to do there. The teacher has asked me here when I go back in time yesterday to make sure I include an adverbial phrase, and I'm going to put that right there. And I've also been tasked somewhere on my jigsaw making meaning shape, I've got to include action, and I'm going to talk about actually all the action-packed stuff we're expecting to happen pre, post and during the theatre trip. Okay, folks, there are 2 bits of homework. Number 1, please follow Simone Goward on Twitter and congratulate her. And Paul, please do that with some sort of gyrating gift. And then the other thing I urge you to do is go and seek out Emma Stanley's work on editing stations, because she's got a Google Doc swanky thing and she's up for sharing, and she's a gorgeous woman who constantly gives to the profession. She's got a question for you actually, Emma. Emma has? Go for it. She's come up with a good suggestion as opposed to a question. So she said, you know, you always do Q&As at the end of these sessions, but what about doing a full Q&A where people can, you know, we'll do a live session, people can ask questions and you can just answer them off the cuff. Yeah, I'm sure there's going to be sort of questions about these 10 sessions, but they might want to know some other bits. Would you be up for doing that? I think that's a great idea. An absolute free-for-all Q&A. When do you want to do it? I don't know when I want to do it, but I am up for doing that. I'm going to just talk really straight now. Next week on Monday, I slip back into teacher mode and do sentence stacking lessons for the kids. And I kind of appear twice. I appear once in the morning, and Ian's going to remind me of the time, to do the actual lesson with the kids and tune them in with some demonstration writing, and then I'm back on at 3:30 doing a Jackanory of the nation's story with all the kids writing that's come from around the world. It's only UK time that we can get, so it's kids in the UK and they're writing, but of course on different time zones we get writing from kids at later stages, which is just utterly delightful. So Saturday, normally I'd say no bloody way. It's Saturday, Mr. C, do one. It is preserved for family. But we might put up on Twitter and Facebook one of those poll things. We kind of go, shall we do it Friday night, Saturday night or Sunday night? Because any of those I could cope with. And actually that might be something we could do. Not Friday night, because I'm doing this Friday. What am I on about?
Saturday or Sunday.
Saturday or Sunday. Saturday, Sunday, or another. We might come up with another suggestion. I don't know what that suggestion is. I start sentences and I don't know how they're going to end. What I did want to say also, if you have ordered something, be kind. We are skeletal and busy, but we know about your orders and we are going to fulfill them. We just might be a bit longer than normal. So be gentle with us, but we are going to get to you. And then
all the out of stock stuff is now back in stock.
All out of stock stuff is back in stock. Just things might just take a little bit longer. And our actual regional postman who looks after our post isn't very well. So we've had a bit of, not only have we had the Easter hoo-ha, I don't think bank holiday is a hoo-ha, but you get me drift, and a bit of poorliness. I don't even know if it was COVID, but we've had like a bit of a lag situation. So be kind with us, we will get to you. Other than that, I will see you here tomorrow talking about the lesson. And the lesson I am referring to, see, that's the international sign of Mr. C. Make sure you close me off quick enough. Yeah, that means get off your seat.
Right, okay.
Yeah, he's slow, isn't he? Get there, because when I go, is it out? Then I can F and Jeff. Anyway, back in the room. What I was going to say, tomorrow we are talking about the lesson. And when I talk about the lesson, I mean the plot point lesson or the jigsaw shapes lesson. I'm talking about the nitty gritty, the modelling, the what I'm doing, what they're doing, the kids' books. Don't miss it. Be here, be nowhere, in your PJs with a drink. I'll see you tomorrow. 8:05 p.m. Hashtag Teacher Squad.
Hashtag the lots of sessions.
Hashtag Heartburst over and out.